Shannon.
Hello, and nothing to keep it real with Shannon alive.
It's Shannon.
Because you don't know how it's going to turn out.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon.
My kids empowered me to get out.
What's going on with this remote learning and in the midst of COVID?
Working for different elected officials, learning and understanding how to put the community first.
Hi, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon. Hello, Dr. Vanessa. How you doing?
Hey, Shannon, I'm good. I could not be no better.
Oh, you just think you hot stuff because you down there in Texas today. That's all.
Absolutely. Being pampered.
Hey, Diane. Look, we have a good show tonight. Our topic is, do you believe in yourself? Because sometimes we don't believe in ourselves. Sometimes we don't think that we can do some of the things that we want to do. But tonight we're going to talk about that. We have two special guests on that has written two books, and I would like to introduce our first author, Miss Kimberly Headley, and she is a minister, teacher, poet, playwright, and entrepreneur. Kimberly has done mission work in Georgia, South Africa, and ministered in the streets of New York City. She believes in the power of sharing a message of hope and healing. And our next guest, who's written the book, Before I Ever Walked, and that is Natasha Coles. She was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. She has a bachelor's degree in mass communication from Bennett College, and she has a master's in early childhood development. Natasha currently works as a kindergarten teacher. She has two beautiful children. She believes that, we should inspire young people looking for ways to uplift, encourage, and inspire people of all ages. And we would like to welcome them to the show tonight. Miss Kimberly Headley and Natasha Coles. Hello, ladies.
Hi,
How are you?
Hi, Dr. Vanessa. Hi, Lottie. Good to see you again.
Well, we're so excited to have you on the show tonight. And Vanessa, Vanessa, I'm thinking about her. Natasha, your book, Before I Ever Walked. Why don't you tell us what that book is about?
Yeah, sure. Well, Before I Ever Walked is an encouraging, inspiring story about a young bird or a little bird that is having issues believing in himself. He's feeling stuck. And it's not until he comes across a little boy that is able to encourage him. And it was because he was encouraged, and he was encouraged by his mom. And so he was able to give the same encouragement to the bird. And through his inspiration and encouragement, little birdie begins to believe in himself as he takes the leap of faith, and he steps out and starts to fly, and he starts to see and realize who he really is. And it's in that moment that he becomes confident and he begins to soar.
Mm-hmm. And Kimberly, you wrote the book, What's on Your Mind? And this is a book of meditation and reflection, but it's also talks about believing in yourself. So what made you, write your book, What's on Your Mind?
So I'm a writer by heart and by passion, and I always quote a lot of sayings and post a lot of sayings on Facebook. And one of my sister friends said, "You're always saying something very inspirational to encourage people. Why don't you put it in a book?" And I kept thinking about it, and I wasn't too sure if that was something I wanted to do. And then the Lord actually impressed upon me to start writing. So my book is a combination of some Facebook posts, but a lot of it is new content, as sitting in the presence of God, and God just giving me downloads of everyday thoughts, things that people might think of, or words of encouragement that I can give to somebody who might be not having a good day at that moment. So that's how that book came about.
Well, both books, our topics tonight is, do you believe in yourself? And both books, shares about how you should believe in yourself. So why do you feel it's important that people should really believe that they can do whatever they want to do?
Well, personally, I've actually grown up like all my life, my childhood. I was very fearful. I had extreme, and I didn't even realize how extremely fearful I was. But in high school, let's say in college, like I didn't want to raise my hand. I would have like reports sometimes or presentations, and I would not go. Like I already knew I was getting like A's in that class, so I'm like maybe teacher's gonna drop the lowest grade. But I just felt like I couldn't do it. And I feel like it wasn't until I got older that I started really pushing myself to overcome my fears and say, like I love to dance. I'm very, I love to sing. Those are all things that I love to do. But I spent most of my life afraid to do it because of embarrassment or things like that. And so, at the end of the day, I've come to realize that the most successful people in life are the ones who are hardworking and who believe in themselves. It's those people that have the confidence. And sometimes you see people, I'm like, they're not even, I mean, sometimes we judge and we're like, they're not even that good. But because they have the confidence and they believe they are, they've convinced you, and then it's not so you're like, how did they get there? But it's really, and also too, a lot of times I would see people doing the things that I want to do, and I would start crying because I'm like, wow, like look at them. I want to be like that. I want to be able to be
Yes.
free and
Yes.
just move in that,
Yes.
freedom and to be who I really
Yes.
am. And so it's important. I think you get the fullness of your life and the fullest experience of your life when you take that step to, to just look fear in the face. I can't say that you can't
Well,
be
what
fear.
you just said, the word you just said, fear, that's
Mhm.
what we got to get rid of. Fear.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
that's the thing. I wouldn't even say that we have to get rid of it because I think it's a natural part of it. Like our bodies are wired, the way our brains are, to kind of like if we don't know fear, then we're in trouble. You know what I mean? So
Well, that's
just
true. That's
so
true.
yeah,
you
the
need
defense mechanism, that fight or flight.
Exactly. So
Right.
you need to be aware of fear, but there's an unhealthy fear that causes us to become stuck. And it's that we need to be able to face, right? So we need to be able to overcome fear. And I think the biggest thing about even in the book, Birdie Blue, it wasn't until he changed his mind, and it's about a shifting in your mindset. And it's about, the way that you speak. As a man speaketh, as a man believeth in his heart, so is he, And so it's about the reframing and the rethinking or thinking about the situation or seeing yourself in a more positive light.
Well, Natasha, since you work with kids, young kids, I know sometimes it's hard and difficult. They could be transitioning from another neighborhood, or their first time at school. How do you incorporate your book, the methodology and the strategies in your book with your lessons, with your curriculum?
Well, we have special thing. I think the schools now are big or are becoming aware of the importance of relating to or educating the whole child. And so they are big on like a social emotional awareness and things like that. So we have conversations, their curriculum that is already specifically that we have to align with. But that curriculum basically speaks about knowing who you are. You're unique, you're special, challenging them and pushing them to do the things that that are in their heart. So I have a lot of kids that are shy. I have a lot of kids that say I can't do this. I have one student that Miss Toll's writing is just not my thing. I just can't do it, And so we're always talking about what is a new thing now is like the growth mindset. And so we're talking about the power of your yet. And it's not that you won't ever be able to do it. You might not be able to do it right now, but we really want to say I can't do it yet. And we work toward that that mindset. And in my classroom it's not can't. Okay, it's just not yet.
So Kimberly, how do you feel about because yours is coming from a spiritual side, and I think that we need to have a little more faith and be willing to step out on faith in things that we want to do. So even if we start in a business or, just like you write in the book or whatever, you keep putting it off and said, oh, well, I don't know if I can do it or not. But, I think sometimes we just really need to have that faith in us.
Yeah.
To put that challenge in us.
Well, faith is not easy to have. Faith is a process. I believe that procrastination is the greatest enemy to progress. And so when you have a God presence in your life, God is the person that pushes you along with the supportive communities. If you're blessed to have people around you who can see your gifting and see your potential, that helps you to see like you can really accomplish it. And as my sister said, it is a mindset. And when your mind is transformed and renewed, you can begin to see yourself in a different perspective and have a different trajectory about where you want to go. And so words have power. Scripture says death and life are in the power of the tongue. So what you speak is what you can become. So if I keep saying I can't do it, I won't do it. But perhaps if I give myself enough confidence to believe that if I take that one step, as Natasha's book says, that one step can propel you into greater expectations and things beyond your imagination.
And that's why I always say I know we should start teaching our children from the time they're born to have confidence and to know, like when kids be saying, I can't do that. Like when I'm talking to my granddaughter, she'll be like, oh, I can't do that, Grandma. Take that word out of your mouth. Right. There's no such word as can't, even though I guess there is a word, but as I'm concerned, there's not a word as can't. And we have to start telling our kids and the young people to stop saying what I can't do. Do it first. If it doesn't work, then you pick yourself up and try it again. The main word, Natasha said it before, is confidence. Because sometimes we like that confidence. Because that's even myself. Like I'm a fluffy woman, I'm on that side. And there's some stuff that I like to wear. And I would see women with it on, and I'd be like, man, I wish I had the confidence to wear that. I don't have the confidence to wear that. You know what I'm saying?
You just got to put it on.
That's right. You wear your attitude. Your attitude. Listen, you can wear something frumpy, but if your attitude is confident, people wouldn't even see the frumpiness. They would see this person stepping into this outfit. She's doing her thing. So, yeah. Go on, put it on, Lottie.
Now, wait a minute, Kimberly. We got to make sure we got to check out what you're going to put on first.
I was like, but you should ask a good friend before you leave.
Right, ask a good friend.
No. Now, what I'm talking about, like those tight stretch pants, the tight stretch pants. And I see large women like me with them on, and they just got like the short top on, and I'd be like, no, I can't. I can't, but I wish I did have that kind of confidence. I do it, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I have confidence in everything else like I do, but just to me, some things you just can't do, right? But I mean, as far as like the work ethics and, personal stuff like that, I have the confidence I can do it, and I'm not afraid to do it. I'll just do it if something happened to me. Most of the time I sit up and laugh at my own self. So that's where I am. But we got to take a quick break and we got to come back with more Natasha and Kimberly. We'll be right back.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon.
This year, celebrate Vote Early Day
and make your voice heard.
Each year, the amount of people voting early grows.
And this fall, over 220 million Americans can vote early.
In person.
By dropping off their ballot.
Or mailing it in. With so many options, you can vote when it's convenient for you.
Election day is the last day to cast your ballot.
So the question isn't why vote early.
It's why wait. Join the celebration and find out how you can vote early at voteearlyday.org.
We're back. We're keeping it real with Shannon. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank our guests Natasha and Kimberly on. I wanted to ask you another question too. Is like, when you meet people that has a talent, right? But they just afraid to get out there and do their talent. Like I have a friend that knows how to sing, right? And I keep saying, oh, God gave you this voice. Why is it that you just don't get on out there and get to singing? You worried about having money. You worried about having money to pay your bill. You know how much money you could be making singing with your voice, but it's like that. I don't know what's missing there. You don't want to pound the person. You don't understand what I'm saying? But it's like, how do we try to convince somebody to take that talent and use it, because I think when God gives you a talent, you should use that talent that he gave you.
I'm going to say that this is my story, and
That's her story.
I'm still a work in progress. But like I said, and I'm blessed in one of the ways that, like, there are many things that, like, oh, if I wanted to do it, it's almost like I could do it, But the fear, I think, for me personally, it's being overly critical of yourself, and those are things that, like, hinder you. Also, just perfectionism. Sometimes, like, you have this lie of, like, oh, it's not, then again, I'm like, and comparison, like, it's the thief of joy. I mean, you compare your gift. Oh, it's not, I don't sing like Beyonce, or, there are already so many singers out there. Like, you don't see, like, your worth, but, a lot of it, I think, for me, which I realized later on, was that, like, it's not perfect. And so, but because I'm hypercritical of myself, I think that other people are going to judge me the same way. And it's not true. But, somebody might say, "Ooh, you cracked," or something, but I mean, the biggest fear that I'm, like, making up in my mind is likely not to happen, but a lot of times with the perfectionism, like, it keeps you stuck, because you're just waiting for, like, the perfect opportunity. You're waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect song, the perfect whatever. And, like, there's no such thing. Like, it's never.
Do you think that we should be more on the side of not caring what people think?
Yeah, I think that you should. I think a better way to put it is not take yourself so seriously. I think that, I think you should, care to a certain extent, but at the same time, because you want to govern yourself, in a certain way, whatever was appropriate. But I mean, for the most part, I think not taking yourself too seriously, it allows you to be more free, and, like, hey, if I mess up, I messed up, like you were saying,
Exactly.
Like,
that was my point. That was my point, because I have a bad attitude. I'm working on it. My mother, told me I need to work on it, but I have the attitude, like, I don't care what people think. When I say stuff, I do stuff, and people criticize. Well, that's your problem. That's not my problem. That's your problem.
Yeah,
If you didn't do it, that's on you. Because if you would do it, then you wouldn't have to be talking about me.
Yeah, I want to say too that part of, I feel, the failure is more so sometimes people are afraid to succeed or to be successful, right? So it's not so much I don't want to do it. Sometimes it's I don't want to do it because I might actually be good at it. And people may not be able to handle the success that comes with actually achieving it and being well at it. I do feel like when you have a gift, you have a responsibility to steward that gift well. Exactly. And even if it's something that you're working on, the fact is that God gave everyone something to do. There's nobody that's dumb in the earth. There's nobody that's not creative. That's a lie from the pit of hell. Everyone has something, but if you don't have the right people, like my sister Natasha, her husband supported her in her singing. She was afraid to sing all the time, but he was the one. We would say, "Oh, Tasha, you can sing," and she just didn't hear it. It's not that she didn't necessarily always believe it. It was like, what happens if I step out and do it? When I started preaching, the same thing was like, oh my God, what if I mess up? What if I say something and I disappoint God? But when the Holy Spirit is in you, that stuff kind of gets pushed to the back. It doesn't mean you don't prepare.
Right.
He's not saying to make a fool of yourself, but just,
yes. But sometimes we have to differentiate fear from procrastination.
Right.
Because sometimes people can get them confused. And sometimes we may not think that we're helping someone, but we're making a difference in somebody's life. Right. Even if you make that mistake, it's not a mistake that is intentional, but that message prior to the mistake or what you felt was corrected, somebody had already heard. Somebody
Absolutely.
So it's just really stepping out in faith, like you say, but you have to have the support, like you said about Natasha. But I want to know about this song that you got going on.
I was just getting ready to say that, Vanessa. Vanessa, I was just getting ready to say, hold up. Somebody keeps saying a song. Okay, hold up. We want to hear one verse.
Uh-oh.
One verse.
Would you like to? I also wrote a song to go with the book as well. But
well, we want to hear a verse or something.
All right. Oh my goodness. Okay. Where should I?
We got a minute.
Okay. It's gonna be. I'm like trying to think about where I want to start at.
Do we need to clap for you?
Make me
Yes.
a vessel.
Drum
Make me a
roll.
vessel.
Okay. Make me a vessel. I'll be your temple, declaring signs and wonders. Let it be done, all for your glory. You go before me, declaring signs and wonders. Let it be done. I'm like, I got a little cold.
Now listen. Now wait a minute. How long have you been hiding that for somebody to pull it out to share it?
Well, I just released that song on my birthday because I said, I've been writing songs for a long time, and I never do anything with it. So for my 40th birthday, I said, you know what? I'm gonna share what God has given me. So that was my moment of overcoming. And
Well, girl, all you got to do is put it on that what they put it on now. They don't put it on vinyl anymore. What they do is whatever they putting it on now. That's what you need to put it on. And,
it is available on Spotify and iTunes and YouTube.
Okay, so those are some places we can go. But where you gonna be singing at, performing or something? Even if it's at church, you have to let us know so we can be that.
Yeah. TBT.
But you know what? I'm glad that your husband and Kimberly is pushing you to do that. And I know now, since you know that you can do it and that you will, just step on out there and do what you need to do. Because you know what? Sometimes I feel like when we're doing stuff, and like you were saying earlier about you were afraid that people being critical. And that's why I was saying that we have to just get to that mindset that, I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but it's not really care what people be thinking. Because see, a lot of times people are jealous over your talent. And because you want to do stuff, they're jealous. So they'll criticize you. So to make you feel like you can't do it and don't want to do it. That's why sometimes you have to have that attitude that I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Say whatever you want to say. They talked about Jesus, so why am I worried about you talking about me?
And sometimes people envy the fact that you've gone out and stepped out and did it, and
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's a lot of jealousy. You have to understand there's a lot of jealousy with people. Rather than them encouraging you, they're criticizing you. Where really they know you good, but they don't want to give you that credit of doing anything. It's like when people get information and they don't want to share. You understand? Like they know how to do something and they don't want to share. Like Dr. Vanessa, she's a wealth builder. She's teaching us how to get rich. You know what I'm saying? So these are people you want to be hanging with.
No, I'm not teaching them how to be rich. I'm teaching them how to build generational wealth and leave a legacy. Beautiful. It's a big difference. It's a big difference.
But the thing about it is, whatever we're teaching, I mean, Kimberly, she's teaching us, from the spiritual side, and Natasha also is teaching us from the spiritual side as well. Even though we're talking about the books that you wrote and everything, but you still got to have that confidence, and you got to know that and have that determination and motivation. Yes. If you don't have a passion, if you're not motivated and determination about your passion, nothing is going to happen. But if you're passionate about something, you would do whatever it takes to make it work. That's how I feel about it.
Someone's saying they want me to talk more about my book. Well,
okay.
Yeah. What's on Your Mind is really it's an evangelistic book. It's a book because I used to preach on the streets of New York, subway, going up and down downtown Brooklyn. I feel that everyone's not going to come into the church. And so when I wrote the book, it's for people to understand that God loves you and can meet you at any point in your life, no matter how difficult life becomes, no matter how many challenges. And so every time I posted on Facebook, I did so with the hope that whoever was having a difficult day, a challenging day, here's where you can go and see this post, and maybe your mindset would shift. So it's really about being an evangelistic tool for anybody, and anybody can write. I encourage people to write, write your thoughts down, write your dreams down, write your aspirations down, because once you put a pen to the paper, you're responsible for what you put out. Now it may not come out of your mouth, but it's on paper. So what are you going to do with what you placed before the world, before God? And God is waiting for a lot of people to come out of this slump, to get up and go do what he's called us to do. The pandemic has taught us time is of essence. So we don't need to be sitting down, wasting time, wondering looking at other people living our lives vicariously through social media. What about you? God is saying you have something you have to contribute to this world. And you don't want to go to death. And on the tombstone, we don't know what you did. All we see is the dash and your birthday and your end date and nothing there. So I always tell people in church, my family, my sister, get up, go do what God has called you to do.
That's interesting.
And you want to wake up on a daily. Go ahead, Vanessa.
It's interesting you say that, and I appreciate that, because this is where I came out of retirement as a passion to bring people to the table to build generational wealth and stop thriving in generational debt. So sometimes we become complacent in our surroundings, and the pandemic was that reality. Is like, you know what, tomorrow is definitely not promised to no one, and it's like you got to do something for something, do you? So it's really trying to connect in the narrative of how you're thinking about things and put more attention and get that faith, get that energy, be around those people, those like-minded people, because look what the pandemic had. It could be another pandemic tomorrow, next year, next week.
Right.
You know?
And that still goes back to when you, I feel too that when you wake up every morning, after you give thanks for still being able to see the sunshine, go out and do something good for somebody. You know what I'm saying? Share what you are doing good with someone else. And then if you can help somebody else, then that's what you do also. Because we need to get back to that also, because we don't know how to treat each other now. That's another thing. We don't know how to treat each other.
Yeah, the value of human life has diminished.
Yes.
But again, the image of God lives in every single person. And sometimes people can't get to God. And so perhaps you might be the messenger, right? We might be the living epistle, as they say, that somebody reads. They read love in you. They read mercy in you. They read compassion, because everyone's going through trouble. Everyone's going through trauma.
So what we're going to do, Kimberly, we're going to hold you and Natasha for a few minutes. We're going to go to our after show and continue and finish our little conversation real quick. But we want to thank everybody for joining us for this part of the show. And we want to thank you for coming on as our guest as well. And you can always see us on Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday, 8 p.m. You subscribe to our YouTube and follow us on Facebook. So we want to thank you again for joining us tonight. And we're going to come back from our after show. So as always, we'll see you next time.
Today's show is sponsored by Abu's Bakery. If you have a sweet tooth, stop by Abu's Bakery for some delicious cakes and pies.
Do you like beautiful pictures for your home or your office? Then stop by Space Plus Gallery. They have a large selection of pictures from around the world.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon. It's Shannon. It's Shannon. It's Shannon. Keep it real.
Hey ladies, welcome back. Thanks for staying for our after show for a few minutes. I just wanted to come back, Kimberly, to what's on your mind. In the book, the way you have it for each day, Sunday through Saturday, where you give quotes and meditation that you can say each day when you get up. I think that's very meaningful, because sometimes when you get up in the morning, you know, you do your prayers and everything like that, and just to say something comforting to yourself, or you know, share it with someone else for that day, that also means a lot too, that you can put that in your daily live to have, you know.
I didn't want to put like dates. And I didn't want to put dates and if it's Thursday and I feel like I want to read something on Sunday, I might read that meditation for Sunday. I just wanted to be just as a kind of a guide for people to begin to rewire their thinking. You know, every morning I pray, you know, I talk to the Lord, you know, and say something to God. And sometimes we don't know what to say to God. And so it might be that book or another book that kind of gives you a little kind of nudge. Well, here's where I can talk to God through these words. These words are speaking to me today. So yeah, I'm grateful.
Yeah, because it's just like I'm pretty sure Natasha be singing every day. She says something and singing every day.
I'm always singing. My kids. I'm the singing teacher. Even if I'm giving them directives or they're not listening, I'm stopping them with a song. I'm giving them directives with a song. They're probably like, "Oh my goodness, do you love to sing?" Yes, I do. How did you? I'm always singing. But I think it's always so. I'm always so encouraged too, because then they start to do it, after a while, like suddenly they're like singing something, or they're just starting to call somebody's name and it's a song, and it's uplifting, and so then they realize like, oh, you can make a song out of anything, and so sometimes they not unknowingly,
but
like,
you know what, Natasha, you don't even realize how important that is, for the simple reason is when you have a teacher that has some type of skill and they use it in the classroom, that means a lot to you in the classroom with that teacher.
Yeah,
it does, because it even make you want to come to that teacher's class more often and wish you had them a little longer or something, because it means a lot to kids, to children. Especially when you hear them talking about their teacher. Well, my teacher did this, my teacher did that. Because, some teachers are so boring, no, they are. I mean, that's true.
It's true. Sometimes you wonder what kind of class that you can't make fun of all classes. It's like,
yeah. Look, let me tell you, I appreciate teachers. I was in the classroom, so I know what it is. I really appreciate teachers, but I have to say now, there are some teachers who was boring, because during the pandemic, when they had it on Zoom or whatever they was on, I sat in on my granddaughter's class one day just to make sure she was paying attention to whatever. And trust me, I was. I went to sleep, and when I woke my granddaughter, Grandma, what? Because you couldn't see me, and I was like, man, your teacher's so boring. Oh my God.
But I remember my teachers, as a child. So teachers are very important.
Yes.
And I used to go to school looking forward to seeing my teachers.
Yes.
And
it's very precious to me.
Teachers that have such a good impact, they'll never forget that teacher. It's always something special that teacher could make something different in that child's life.
Yes, it's really true. And I mean, I think that, they also say children spend almost more time in school than they do at home, And so although a parent is the child's first teacher, like and even in, as we learn, like in trauma situations and stuff like that, like when children have issues with relationships and things like that, if a teacher has enough positivity in her to establish like a sound and a good relationship, that it's enough to change the direction of the course of their life, so to speak, so it's amazing, like the power that that a teacher really does have, but you just always have to remember your why.
That's interesting that you said that, because I think about the kids who was going to school, and some of those kids who have maybe using school as an outlet to get away from the trauma at home. Then I thought about these kids during the pandemic. Now that they're home, maybe with their abuser, with their accuser of other things that's going on. So how do they now transition back into school when that was their safe haven?
Yeah, like attachment. Well, really what I was trying to say before was like attachment, like the attachment personalities that we develop, through our experiences or whatever. But a lot of times with children who have experienced trauma and things like that, but that's why, and now they're making it so that teachers have to learn how to have trauma-informed care, how to be able to address children and, not just say, oh, they're sleeping and now you're penalizing them when, it's like, oh, maybe they didn't get any sleep at home all night. Maybe they didn't eat. Maybe they're hungry, and so those are different things that affect, the whole child. And so it's really important to kind of take those things into consideration, the demographic that you're teaching and things like that, because that definitely impacts their learning, and so you have to be sensitive to that. And, we try to include, breathing and like all of those things that, you know, can bring some type of healing, you know, to their spirits and their souls, you know, and you just try to incorporate that into, you know, even how you are speaking to them as far as like, you know, redirecting them, you know, and things like that. Like you want to be, you know, sensitive so you're not like triggering anything in anyone, you know.
But not even being a teacher, you know, with the kids and stuff about helping, even with grown-ups, because I meet a lot of grown folks that motivates me. You know what I'm saying? Like I see what they're doing and, you know, I see how they are. And it really motivates me to want to be a better person. You understand what I'm saying? And when I look at them and I was like, well, if they can do that, I know I can do that there. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it makes me want to believe in myself more, that I can do more than what I do because I see what they're doing. You know, and people sometimes don't even know that they have motivated you or touched your life because you never say anything. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes people just touch your life and you don't tell them, but you know they have touched your life. You know what I'm saying? Even as an adult,
right?
Because that's why I like to be around positive people. If you're negative, I can't be around you. I can't.
Yeah, negative people.
I don't have no problem dropping you right quick.
They bring energy.
Yeah, when you don't hear from me and they be like, oh, well, I ain't heard from you. Oh my God, I just been so busy, girl. You know, I couldn't call you or whatever. No, I don't want to be around that. I don't want to be around.
It's important who you center yourself around. You know, I think everyone has to be very discerning, right? Because I believe in destiny relationships. I don't waste time with people who are not a part of my destiny. And I encourage others to do the same thing because we've spent the years kind of running with people, hanging out with people. You know, it's like if you're not adding to my life, if I'm not adding to your life, then you can just be someone that has just passed through that phase of my life. But it's about destiny and it's about us building together. How do my resources, how do my relationships help you to enhance what you're doing? Because really, to be honest, the only person who should be jealous of any is God. God is the only one who should be jealous. We should not be jealous of people. But it's,
as our guest said, knowledge is power. It's true because the more you know, the better you're going to be. So when people say, oh, Lottie, you just talks too much. Every time I turn around, you talking to somebody. You don't even know the person you talking to them. You know what I say? But how do I know who I'm talking to? You don't know who you're talking to when you talk to people. You don't know what they into or whatever. They may be into something that you want to get into, or they can help you get into and stuff. And so if you don't want to talk to people, that's your problem. I'm back to my little attitude again. That's your problem. You don't want to talk to anyone. You know, you can be. I remember when I was working and I had to get on the train. I hated getting on the train, but I had to get on there. And I don't know, everybody else could be on the platform. They got to walk over and start talking to me. Why are you talking to me? You know what I'm saying? And I always wonder that why people walk over and want to talk to me all the time. Because see, I start talking to them and we'll start talking just like we've been knowing each other or whatever. And then I find out they into this, they into that. Like, oh, give me your number. Give me that number right quick. You know what I'm saying? Because then I can invite you to something. I can tell you something or whatever. Just like Natasha now. And so I'll be calling her to sing. You know what I'm saying? I never knew who I'm talking to.
There you go.
That's Natasha, yes.
Absolutely.
You never know who you're talking to.
It's true.
That's why you can't.
It was just about the book.
Right.
No, but I'm just saying that's why you can't be nasty to people if they walk up and start talking to you, or you know, because sometimes even when you approach people, sometimes their attitude is out of whack. So you say, well, maybe I shouldn't have said nothing to them or whatever, but you know what I'm saying? I take my chances. You can be rude or whatever. I don't get upset about it. I be just like, okay, well, they're having a bad day. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. But in order for you to move and do things, and that's why we have to teach our children and young folks that you gotta get in those books and learn all you can. You gotta talk to people. You know, you can get just as much talking to people as sometimes out of the books or whatever. But that's the kind of attitude and personality you need to have. And a lot of people, you know, I feel bad for some of them sometimes when they say, oh, well, this is happening to me. I don't know why. Well, think about why it's happening to you. You're so nasty. Your attitude is so nasty. That's why nothing good is going to happen to you.
Well, they don't believe that, Lottie. They don't believe that.
Well, people don't don't believe when things start happening to people, they want to know how come all these bad things are happening to me. You got to step back sometime and think, why are these things happening to me?
Mm-hmm. Very true. Self-reflection is very important. Also, when you said that if they're negative, I think we don't realize the power of our words. Like words have power, and I think it really just goes back to, and it's all God. I think that's like the funny thing. Like it's all God. Like this is nothing new, but now it's like the affirmations and manifesting and like all this other stuff. It's like this is God said this a long time ago. He said that your those things that be not as though they were. He said, "Be renewed by the power."
Yes.
I mean, forming of your mind. Like he said that already, you know, because he built us in a certain way. And when we flow in that, in those principles, like you start to see the fruitfulness of it, you know, like that's what he said. But now everybody's like,
well, ladies, it has really been a pleasure talking to the both of you. And I mean, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited for both of you. I'm excited for Kimberly. I mean, Natasha. Like I said, I'm going to be calling you.
Okay.
Please call her.
I call Kimberly to preach, but see, I know she'll be preaching all the time because she always be preaching. Preaching that's all the time and stuff. And we got to get her too. But now that we know we got some more vocals to add on, we're gonna be adding that on.
Yes.
Because I have to tell you, God is good all the time.
All the time.
He always puts the right people in your life. I thank him every day for putting the right people in my life because I learned something from everybody that's in my life every day. And I try to treat people good because see, I'm trying to get through that gate. That's what I'm trying to do. And I'm not gonna let anybody stop me from getting through that gate. I'm good. You know. That's why you don't be hearing me with all these friends, because ain't nobody your friend. We're gonna get through that gate. So I'm gonna do what I have to do to get through that. So, but I truly want to thank you both, Kimberly, for writing your book. I've enjoyed reading it. I'm gonna read some more because I'm gonna do the daily thing. I'm glad you put it in the daily thing. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, that was very helpful. And Natasha, before I ever walked,
that'll preach.
That confidence, yes.
We don't realize that we're hardwired to grow. We're hardwired.
Yes.
Before you ever walk, you crawl, you try, you fall. But nobody, I mean, it wasn't like a baby who fell and it was like, you know, they don't try again. They try again. That's naturally innately do, you know. But we forget, you know, as we experience life and we become more aware of our hurt and we become more aware of failure and those things like that, you know, they hinder us, you know. But that's why Jesus said, become like a child, you know. When you like a child, all right, you willing to try, you willing to, you know, the qualities of a child, you know, are really the qualities that help us to succeed, you know.
Well, thank you all so much. I really can't tell you how much I thank you. I thank the guests, all you guests for joining us tonight and for your shout outs and comments. We really thank you for joining us tonight. And look, as we move forward, let's move forward in the positive way that, you know, we're going to do as much as we can to help the next person, even though with their attitudes or whatever, we still going to be talking to them because I feel that's what God wanted us to do. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Even if people get on your nerves, I still think we need to, you know, move forward in a positive way with them. So I hope y'all will come back again. I hope you'll come back again.
Absolutely. We'd love to. And
so
Natasha, she'll sing and I'll preach.
All right, Kimberly. All right.
Kim's gonna sing along and she's going to carry my harmonies for me, okay?
I'll carry her harmonies.
She likes to act like she's, you know, shy when it comes to the
Thank you, ladies, again. I'm gonna remember that, Kim. We're gonna do that. We're gonna put something together. We're gonna do that. Because you know the Lions, we always having something all the time. So you know you gotta do that. Yes, we're gonna do that. So thank you, ladies, again. So thank you, Dr. Vanessa, for joining us and all our guests again. And
love you guys.
Come back again. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.